This week on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Remember the time that Sasquatch chased that guy? That's right, we're going to talk about that. The Sasquatch in the Sequoias. The big red dude jumping all nimbly-pimbly over the creek bed. You know the one. This one's worth going over and over and over. And we got some news about penises. Elijah, you weren't supposed to be listening to that.
Uh-oh.
The Reverend Jeff Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Elijah, for helping us out with the announcer of the podcast. I'm your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and over there is the best announcer man in Squatchers on podcast history, Dr. David Patdorf, pseudoscientist. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Training my replacement.
That's right. I think that kid's almost ready to go on air with his own crypto podcast. Give him about another 18 months. We'll have him all trained up. Well, that's right. This week we're talking about the creature of the giant sequoias. Now, they never actually called it a Bigfoot, but we're not going to quite get there yet. Tonight, we're going to start off with some news.
And now for the Squatchers Lounge news, bringing you the most up-to-date topics from across the interwebs week after week after week. The Squatchers Lounge podcast. Let's get newsy.
Get newsy, guys. That's right. Thank you to our sponsor, treasuredmetaljewelry.com. I'm getting reports that the contest winners are receiving their swag. So congratulations to those guys. We heard from Australia today that not only did he get his copper bullet, but he sent some extra little trinkets in with it. So thanks to our sponsor, Joseph at treasuredmetaljewelry.com. If you haven't gotten yours, you might want to ping him with an email and make sure he has your address. Anyhow, let's get on with the news this week. All right, first up, let's see. We talked about it last week. There's a sun doing some strange crap at a million friggin' galaxies away from us, and now they're going to focus a telescopic array on it to make sure that the alien megastructure isn't going to come kill us. Is that what's going on here?
Yes, it does not work as fast as Sasquatchery on Facebook, but when you look at something, you're like, what the F is that? Eventually you rotate your telescopic array in that direction, and you'll take a look at it. Unfortunately, for all the clickbaity science blogs, we'll probably never find out that it was just dust.
Just a gigolo. And wait, that's copyrighted too. Daggone it.
But anyway, this is a great, the graphic here is a great description of, I think we brought up the Dyson sphere, or, the alien superstructure that's supposed to take energy from the sun. And
the Dyson sphere, a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star and captures most or all of its power output. The concept was first described by Olaf Stapleton in his science fiction novel Star Maker, 1937, later popularized by Freeman Dyson in his 1960 paper, Search for Artificial Stellar Sources of Infrared Radiation. That's right, Dyson speculated that such structures would be the logical consequence of escalating energy needs of a technological civilization and would be necessary for its long-term survival. He proposed that searching for such structures could lead to the detection of advanced intelligent extraterrestrial life. Different types of Dyson spheres, they are energy harvesting ability, would correspond to levels of technological advancement on the, I'm not even going to try that scale. Anyhow, it's all science fiction, people. None of this crap actually exists, but it's theorized.
Yeah, unless you, it depends on what you're reading. All of this stuff exists. It's not even like these hypothetical science fiction.
I have a Dyson sphere here in my house. It's attached to a hose and it sucks up all the shit in my carpet.
That's a cyclone. Oh. Or 18 separate cyclones in the same. Anyway,
right. Never lose a suction, people. I tell you what, honestly, as an unsolicited friggin' review of the Dyson pet model for the home, it is badass, people. Literally, you can get it unstuck in seconds, no matter where it's stuck. So if you really want to stop messing with friggin' vacuums, go buy a damn Dyson. They're worth it. Anyhow, I didn't buy mine. We got it as a gift.
Yeah. So anyway, great to share. Great clickbaity stuff. Not probably aliens.
No, probably not aliens, unfortunately, but it's worth, a fun giggle. A reptile with no penis just solved a baffling science mystery. That's right, Elijah. PP, oh no. The Tatara is actually a lizard. It is a reptile. It isn't actually a lizard. Last survivor of a 250 million year old group of reptiles that mostly went extinct with the dinosaurs. It doesn't have a penis, and ironically, that's made it a linchpin for understanding how penises evolved in vertebrates. What?
What? So if you really look into this, these are so critically endangered. And obviously, I mean,
without a penis, I can imagine it has a little bit of hard time breeding.
Well, they're able to do the thing. It's mostly they lay one egg every 2 to 5 years. Blah blah blah.
Oh, so it's actually it really is her and not him. I'm sorry, it's you. It's not me.
Yeah. And only I mean it takes a long time to grow to maturity. Like these things are eating wettas in New Zealand, and they're probably the slowest creature on the planet. I mean, it looks like they could run around like a lizard, but no, they're pretty much crazy. Weird. They have shoulders more like a small mammal. It's crazy. Anyway, so these things are really fascinating. But what they did is they found examples. I would believe it could have been, I think it was the Smithsonian Institute had examples of eggs where they could actually look at the embryo. Embryos at a very early stage actually have a bump that would signify an anus and a penis. So this, looking at this whole subset of these, what they call them, spiky backed reptiles, basically, right? They had penises and decided that they didn't need penises later. So they have a penis in their embryonic state, and then the penis, reabsorbs.
Sort of like human gills.
Yeah, the penis reabsorbs and it's really fascinating. But if you think about all the different kinds of penises, some of them have bones, some of them are weird and floppy like ours, some of them are spiraled like a duck's, and some of them are like a kid.
I hear the walrus has the second largest penis in the world.
That's amazing. The echidna actually has 4 penises in one. So there.
Well, yeah, sharks have 2 penises, so that kind of does trump the walrus.
So do snakes. Also, there's something in here they're talking about. The crocodile's penis is actually set up on really highly banded tendon spring,
permanently stiff, pushed out by muscles and pulled back by a bungee cord tendon.
Bungee cord. So basically, the muscle pushes out the penis and then is retractable. Crazy. It's like a reverse switchblade.
It's like a second switchblade. Wow, that's crazy.
Anyway, so
it's fun talking about dicks on the radio or on YouTube, isn't it?
It just shows interesting, that all basically
the diversity of penises.
Well, the diversity of penises and the fact that the origin of the penis was at least 250 million years ago. Fascinating.
That's a long ass time ago. Well, there you go, folks. If you've ever wondered about reptile penises from 250 million years ago, you just got educated by the pseudoscientist, Dr. David Batdorf. All right. Extinct species of pig-snouted turtle unearthed in Utah. Look at that thing, dude. It's bad to the bone. Did we just find something else in Utah, like a mammoth or something? I mean, they're finding all kind of crap in Utah, but the Badlands is just full of this shit. I mean, it used to be an ocean. Now it's a desert. That's like perfect mix for finding fossilized crap like this, is it not?
Do you understand the evolution of this turtle's penis?
No, I didn't. I didn't follow the penis on this particular story.
He turn the turtle over, apparently. I don't know.
Maybe this one's a girl and she's laying the first turtle egg. I don't know, but
yeah, fascinating. The really fascinating finds. We're finding more stuff. It's amazing.
2 foot long turtle from head to tail. Streamlined shell was adapted for living in a riverine environment. What the? Okay, dyslexia kicking in. Yeah, that one. So check it out. The University of Texas at Austin. utexas.edu. That's right. Okay, next up, we're going from penises and big-nosed freaking turtles to ball-size matters for howler monkey mating calls. That's right, folks. The larger the balls, the higher the pitch. What?
Yeah. You'd think that it would be the other way around.
You would think, big bald boy is going to be screaming the loudest, but apparently not. The lower the pitch, the smaller the balls.
However, the lower the pitch, the more attractive the mates. So howler monkey ladies do enjoy
Small
tiny, teeny
balls.
little balls.
That's right. They like their balls and little tiny balls. I guess that's the way that comes down. In humans, it's definitely not the case. I can't attest for that. Anybody that wants to put your balls and size up against mine, we'll figure out how to have that contest and I'll win. I guarantee it. So either I'm an exception to the rule, or humans don't have this problem, one way or the other. But God bless the howler monkey. I love the howler monkeys, dude. Actually, we're going to the
I just want to know who did this correlative study. Why would okay? So hey, I wonder how the ball size is
Listen
in relation.
to that howler. I wonder how big his balls are. I mean,
they've got to be huge. What? They're small. Let's do a study to find out why. I mean, is that how they opposed the
and is this like the last friggin' selection of the PhD students? What are you gonna do? I guess I got here late, so I'm gonna have to do ball sizes and howler monkeys. It's like a punishment from a teacher or something. I don't know, but it's fascinating stuff to go from penis size to ball size.
Actually, that could be a great PhD thesis, like that your professor like threatens on you. It's like, look, if you don't get your homework in on time, I'm gonna make you do the howler monkey ball thesis. All right,
and that's gonna take 18 months. Ha ha. Good Lord. Check it out at livescience.com. All right. A man is his son's uncle thanks to a vanished twin. It's called chimerism. It's a chimera. It's basically where in infancy or in uterus where two eggs will fuse together and become one total being. And I actually have a chimera in my flock. It literally is two different colors. On one side, on the left side, it's one patternization, and on the right side, it is completely different patternization. And it literally is the strangest looking bird I've ever seen out there. And that's what the vet told us, was that it was a chimera. And we saw a catfish that was posted the other day. It was black and white like a cow and mixed like that, and it was the exact same thing. So it was just funny that all of a sudden David sends me this article. So tell me about it, man. How can you be your own kid's uncle?
Well, so here's the deal. When this happens, the way that the genetics flow, like that cow pattern, you have some genetics from one embryo and some genetics from another embryo. Okay, these both have completely different nuclear DNA setups because they're different. There's different sperm and they express themselves differently. If you were exactly identical, you would have identical twins do not have the same DNA. Like that's one of those things that people say, oh, well, no, one sperm did not impregnate two eggs. So there's variations in there. What this is saying is basically, if you, as a chimera, were to impregnate your wife and then take a paternity test, you may fail because your blood may be regulated by embryo A, and your genitals might be regulated by embryo B. So you're going to have two different genomes basically in your same one body. That's what makes this chimerism like possible. And it is possible to fail a paternity test when it is in fact your child because of this. Fantastic. Now, does that mean that your son's uncle? No, it just means that there's some really interesting physiology going on in your body, but you're definitely the son of your child.
And if you have your paternity checked, you're probably going to fail.
Yeah, you're really going to have to just take her word for it.
Well, I can promise you this. Chimerism will never make your white wife and your white self have a brown colored baby. It just won't happen. Anyhow, that's what we're talking about with the chimerism. So check it out over at the gizmodo.com. All right, we got to move through some of this stuff a little faster because we're wrapping our time up. Incredibly preserved frozen cave lions found in Siberia. Look at these things, dude. There's so much to be learned on. There's hair, there's tissue, it's like this was the find of a century, a mummified freaking cave lion, dude. Are you kidding me?
It's amazing that one of the largest cats to ever have roamed the earth, but they found cubs, and that's just like even more amazing. There's the mammoth here, but they say in some of these instances, it's rumored or purported that the flesh might still be edible. And there's liquid blood. Fascinating. I mean,
Dude,
talk about how easy would it be at that point? I mean, genetic.
I want to see a full genome on that blood. Screw Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, because it's right there and it's in the veins. It's only
3.9 feet at the shoulder height. Holy crap!
So think if you're about 6 feet tall, that's like upper rib cage.
Yeah, he can bite your nipple off.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's standing on all fours. If he gets up on his hind legs, he's taller than you are by far.
By far. But anyway, there's a formidable predator. These cave lions were crazy. And it's cool to have that level of preservation. I mean, you go back up to that picture, the hair is there. I mean, yeah, okay, so there might have been some decay, but once it froze, I mean, the hair is there, the flesh is there, the soft tissue is there. There might be blood. I mean, that's fantastic. If you took a seal and just froze it in ice, it would probably look more beat up than this, but that lion cub is fantastic.
Yeah, this will be really neat to keep following along.
And that's 10,000 years old. And that's important to know too, because at 10,000 years old, I mean, I keep thinking that this deep freeze is going to unearth the Sasquatch, or answer the Sasquatch
predecessor. Yeah, they very well could find a mummified version of somebody that's not in our line, and that's all it's going to take. Crows steer and learn from death. That's right. If they watch another bird die, they don't fly out in front of the same car. Is that what we're getting at here?
No. This is actually a little bit more interesting. It goes along that same University of Washington, and I like to follow this one, which is why this one I sent this to immediately. So they were doing the whole thing where they put masks on people, and people would react to the crows would react to the masks. They'd react to this. They'd react to that. So this kind of morbid study, they would actually take taxidermied crows and hold them upside down. They take taxidermied pigeons and red-tailed hawks. They took live red-tailed hawks with these people in masks with a dead crow, and looked at how the crows reacted to them. The crows reacted the harshest. I forget what they call it. It's anyway, their calls and harassment was more so to the red-tailed hawk with this person in a mask, and they changed the mask, and they changed the people, they changed all this stuff. So that's basically like controlled out. And this, you're holding a dead crow as far as they're concerned, and a red-tailed hawk. And immediately, danger, boom. And then anytime that mask was ever seen, anybody who had that mask on in that situation was called exactly as aggressively, and they would harass as aggressively as if they had the hawk and the crow, whether they had any of those things or none of those things, just that mask, because they remembered that. It's amazing. So it talks about the crow's apparatus in their brain that's very much like our hippocampus and other things that have memory and the cognitive functions and blah 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 blah, the cortical substrates that they have and the consciousness, blah 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 blah, blah. So what the interesting thing is that they are reacting to death of their genus, their species. They did not react to a dead hawk. They did not react much to a dead pigeon. They didn't really care about that. They said, oh, there's a danger here, and they would come in to find out what the danger was. This person in a mask has a dead crow. Why did the crow die? So they were fascinated by the death of this crow, even though it was just a taxidermied crow, and would react equally to the same, whatever mask they were wearing at the time, because they have hundreds of masks that they go through, would react equally to each of the masks as they did to whatever danger they thought might be at the time of that mask. A fantastic study, and I think it's just crows they blow my mind. Crows and ravens are fantastic.
IFLscience.com, as usual, they're one of our favorite sources for news. Hairy man killed by hunters believing he was a Sasquatch. Say what? Yeah. Huntington, Oregon. A man who was swimming in the Snake River was shot and killed by a group of hunters who claimed they thought he was a Sam Squanch. Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh my God, boys. We are officially dealing with a fucking Sam Squanch.
Mr. Thomas, a notoriously hairy man, decided to bathe in a river before returning home to the nearby town of Dixie. Unfortunately for him, a group of 4 bear hunters spotted him, mistook him for a Sasquatch. We saw this hairy creature in the water, and we wondered if it was a bear, says Timothy Sanders, one of the hunters implicated in the accident. But after watching it for a minute or two, we were all convinced it was actually a Sam Squinch. It was an extremely hairy humanoid, and it seemed to be more intelligent than a bear. Won't know shit.
Yeah, because it was an extremely hairy humanoid, and you got to know your shot. Like, were you not close enough to anyway? There were clothes on the shore. I'm
hunters
sure.
Fired a total of 37 bullets in the poor man's direction, hitting him 11 times. They ran to collect their trophy and rapidly realized that they had just murdered a guy. What the dude? Seriously, guys, you can't just is this real? Yeah, this is actually real. Well, I don't know if it is. WorldNewsDailyReport.com. Now that I'm checking the source, I might have to look into this one. I may have just been had, but there it is, folks. We'll check into this and get back to you next week. Moving right along to stuff that is real. The Sun in England. Bigfoot ate my woods. Britt Hunter says Yeti stole his cheesy snack. But it's not Patty. That's right. Monster hunter Adam Davies is in the paper in the Sun. Now, I went through this entire article and I read it and everything else. You know, there's nothing about portals. There's nothing about 3-foot-tall demon glowing-eyed creatures that they did battle with too. I wonder why that is.
Very. But they brought up the Maleki Membe. I mean,
come on, seriously, Adam. You're either going to stick to your guns with the story, with the portal, or you're not. Make up your mind. Okay, Gizmodo. These are the first baby giant squid ever discovered, and they're dead on some jackass's deck. Don't worry, they'll make more. Giant squid are among the most mysterious creatures on the planet. The camera-shy behemoths lurk in murky ocean basins across the world. We've only seen adult giant squid a handful of times, and now you're looking at the first ever wee baby ones.
Crazy, because we have so much. This is a giant squid. I mean, this one's not giant, obviously, but a giant squid, and we have so much trouble finding anything but deceased
because they're so deep.
Specimen. Yeah, well, because they're so deep, and it's just not something that's we
know more about space than we do about the oceans.
Yeah, it's crazy because there's no giant squid out there. We hope. That's
right. What's it?
The actual, I've seen a bunch of documentaries on searching for Architeuthis, and it's insane that we cannot find these creatures. But every once in a while, one just pops up, and this one I believe was alive when they got it. But yeah, amazing, and those long
those super long attack tentacles. Yeah,
that's
what leaves those big suction mark cups on these whales, on these sperm whales that come up and around when you see them. These fist size and hand size suction cup marks on the sides of these whales are coming from those long arms that we're seeing there in these little babies.
Yep,
that's crazy talk. So check it out at Gizmodo.com.
It's all right. Legit the Kraken.
World's largest natural sound library now online. That's right. The Macaulay Library, with over 150,000 recorders of 9,000 species, is now digitized and has become uploaded to online searchable databases. But you better know your Latin. Explain it to us, David.
Yeah, you really do have. You can find anything. A quick Google search, and you can figure out the actual genus and nomenclature. But yeah, this is a great resource, especially because it focuses it's the Macaulay Lab of Ornithology, meaning study of birds. They have a lot of other things. There's a lot of elk. There's a lot of anything you could want, frogs, everything. But they have a comprehensive library of birds, and there's so many sounds that we attribute to Sasquatch that are all pretty much bird sounds. And if you know how to search it, you go on to here and you find it, and you're like, that's it. Easy.
That's right. You can check out both articles, video and filmmaker.com for the article, and MAC AULAY library.org.
Yep. Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Google search. Boom. There you are. It's there. Bookmark it. Use it.
Learn it. Love it. That's right. Bigfoot, the movie. In just 3 days, the Kickstarter campaign of a lifetime will begin. You've heard people claim that this will be a Bigfoot movie like any other. Well, I've had some special non-disclosure agreement footage availability to me, and I can tell you this will be a Bigfoot movie like you have never seen before. HD footage, not your shaky trail cam, friggin' handy cam. Oh my God, found footage movie without a Bigfoot. Oh no. And the Bigfoot will not be CGI. That's all I can say. I can't say anymore. I'm sorry. 3 more days, Halloween night, Kickstarter will start. Go on Facebook.com, Bigfoot 2017. Go there, like the page, pay attention to what's going on, and you won't want to get left out. There are some crazy options for the Kickstarter. So, yeah, go check it out. It's really going to be cool. And, Matt Summerfield is a legit dude, and he's a guy that's going to put a good movie together.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the outcome of this. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be totally cool. So I'm going to get off of that before I get out of my non-disclosure agreement stuff and move right along. Bigfoot Battle Battalion. Why am I in here? Well, it seems that you remember the horrid file. The file that was available for sale by Mr. Don Boucher. Well, it appears that no, it wasn't actually for sale, nor was it actually up for auction. No, I didn't auction the folder off, but I pretended I did to see if I could bring in the worms to the surface. I did. Apparently, somebody thought he would be in the folder because he threatened me with an email with a lawsuit. So, shame on you. The folder supposedly exists. We no longer care. There will no longer be any updates about the unholy folder. Boo for you, Mr. Don Boucher. And check out our other sponsor at drsquatchsoap.com. drsquatch.com. Check out Dr. Squatch. Escape the nature. Get some. I scrubbed my grundle right before the show tonight with it. It was so good.
My last bar is sitting here, and I'm just waiting for a special occasion. So
it was date night with the old lady, boy. You scrub your grundle with Dr. Squatch, and it'll be on.
So my undercarriage can smell like spearmint and basil.
That's right, spearmint and basil. Well, thanks for getting through the news with us. I know it was a little long tonight. For some reason, we just went hog wild with the links. But now we're going to get on to tonight's topic.
And now for tonight's topic.
That's right, tonight's topic, the giant creature of the Sequoias. I got this giant creatures of the Sequoias. When it first came out, it was interesting because all we got was this clip of the Bigfoot chasing this kid. All you get is this blurry footage of son of a bitch. Sorry, Mom. You get this blurry footage of this kid just kind of bending down by a tree stump, and all of a sudden the cameraman pans back to this Sasquatch running at him, and then you get a little more footage to be able to view it. Hang on just a second here. I'll have it queued up so you'll be able to see it. And
most of us will remember this footage, like once you see it. You know, the Sequoia Sasquatch seems kind of like a superfluous. Like, there's how many Sequoia Sasquatch videos do we have? No, this is the one where, you're running down the guy does a really good job.
There we go.
Right about here of running across this log. I mean, I probably would have ate shit if there was a Sasquatch chasing me.
I mean, that Sasquatch just leaped down like 8-10 feet. That was like the most impressive thing about this particular clip that we always liked, was the fact that this Sasquatch really shows that it's got some athleticism, which is difficult to do in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty much all we really got. A little bit of a clip of it running away, and another little clip of it running away. And then, bam, that was it. And that was pretty much all that was released to the internet that day. So
and then bam, Patterson Gimlin 352.
Right. Well, so everybody's arguing about this footage in the Bigfoot groups. Is it real? Is it not real? I always reserve I'd love for it to be real. But we got to dig a little deeper and start looking at the background to kind of find out what was going on with it. Now, what were your first thoughts about this footage when you first saw it, David?
So for me, it was like, okay, behavior of the people. Okay, totally natural. If it was kind of a spontaneous thing. The subject you can't really make out until that one, like, bam, everybody freeze frames, roll it back, roll it forward, roll it back, zoom it in, stabilize it, like, and you're like, oh my god, and then all of a sudden you think, wait a minute, why was that guy being filmed down there in the first place? And then you're like, well, why was the Sasquatch right there and they had no idea? Why all these questions started to pop up. And so you look for, okay, where's the source footage? People start asking questions, and you hope that somebody will post the entire thing, which is all the footage from that day, whatever happened on that camera. Like, why was he photographing that? What was the conversation? You can't hear anything. You can't. There was no
sound profile. There was nothing.
Yes, no sound ever, if I recall, on this one, which is a huge red flag. And you're like, wow, well, but everything else seems right, except for, okay, there's the questions, there's no sound, and then we start to look more into it, and what do you see?
Well, all of a sudden we start getting still images like this one. Now, this one was actually released by the people who filmed it as a freeze frame of one of the shots of it running through the forest over there, which when you go back to the actual footage, that's not true. This frame isn't in any of that running footage that they released. So they literally set this up to take this picture.
Yeah. So the first thing that you have, the first thing that you have to realize is, okay, why did they change the color? Because the video is in color and this is in black and white. And B, at what point was the camera stable enough to get a clear focus on the stump or the upturned root structure of the tree that's behind the Sasquatch?
Right. And then another picture emerged of it just kind of crouched down behind a tree. Now, this was released as a Bigfoot sighting, as just a picture on the internet. But all of a sudden, we linked this Bigfoot creature to the giant sequoias video. And when you line them up and actually look, it's the actual giant sequoias in the background of this particular, also probably a publicity photo for what was maybe a short film for a student. So we started digging just a little bit deeper. But what did you think about this picture when it came out?
You got to admit, though, I mean, that is a great costume, and there's a lot of thought put into that costume for what it is. The one thing that I will say, with the way that they've put this together, it might be more mobile than a lot of other costumes, because you could really hide a lot of the center bunching in the hair and everything, which is why this hunched over thing is so prevalent in all the other pictures that we ever saw of this particular thing.
Well, see, my problem with this thing was the dog nose, the black, almost look as wet dog nose. I know it's a human nose, but they blackened it as though it would be a canid. And I started thinking, well, is this a werewolf or is this a Sasquatch? Because I've seen a Sasquatch, and I didn't see a black dog nose on it. And this was one of the things that Matt Moneymaker was trying to convince people of, that all Sasquatches have a black nose like a dog, like Chewbacca. Yeah, that's a real Sasquatch. If it doesn't have a nose like a dog, then it's definitely not a Sasquatch. Now, why would a Sasquatch that we're all assuming is a primate because of the descriptions and everything else that go along with it, why would a primate have a dog nose?
Well, it wouldn't have a dog nose. There's a potential that it could have different melanistic you know, you could have a darker and lighter. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, like, okay, the brow ridge where it looks like you can see the skin, or is that a light shining off of the hair, whatever. You would imagine that the skin on the face wouldn't just get darker. The skin should be the same color all over the entire body. That's another issue with this particular thing here.
Right. Then we got just one more to titilize us just a little bit more. And this one was liked so much that they literally like ripped it off and made a t-shirt out of it and sell it on eBay. And this was, to me, the creepiest of all of the, I guess, like I said, they were probably publicity pictures. I'm not sure. There's still a bunch of people out there that think this is real, 100% real. And we're going to talk about here in a minute why that isn't the case. But after this stuff kind of hit, then it just kind of disappeared. It didn't disappear. It was still on the internet, but nothing more came out about it. It just kind of went dead. And we were all kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah. Let's just talk about this picture for a moment. Like, there is, for one, no color, which means the color is meant
to be a black and white. Or
yeah, either you had your camera set on black and white in the forest, which I don't know why you would do that. You could always do it we have Adobe for that, right? So why for one, and for two, is this nighttime? No, this is not nighttime. Do you see the way that the shadows cast down? This is definitely daytime. It's definitely like you would have to set up in moonlight to get the sort of lighting effects that they have here. You would have to set up a long exposure shot, and that Sasquatch would have to agree to stand totally still for a period of time that is not. I couldn't do it, right? To get this, not happening. So what this is a shot during the daylight with the sun in the background, casting shadows into the foreground, looking like moonlight, because they obviously
made it look like
they do know that there is a program called Adobe in the world.
Right. And it just goes to show that there's just little red flags that all keep peeking up. Well, then, as you saw on that list of the other picture that was there, that was the video that came out, creature of the giant sequoias finally revealed, like a question, and all of a sudden we started finding pictures like this. Well, there's our Sam Squanch on stage with a guitarist, not in the forest anymore. Yeah. Well, are you sure that's the same Sasquatch? Yeah, I can tell by the long hair on the wig. I can tell by the arms. See how the arms are extended? This is actually a very good this is a good depiction of a Sasquatch suit that's all wrong. Where the extra long arms are not from the elbow to the fingertips. It's usually from the shoulder to the elbow that's the problem. And you can't fake that in a Bigfoot suit. It's not, without breaking somebody's arm and physically separating it. There's no way to extend that. So they extend it from the elbow down by a prosthetic. You can actually see where the guy's hand is and the prosthetic hanging off of it.
Yeah, and it looks like they've broken their forearm, basically.
Right. It looks like there's an extra joint in his forearm.
Yeah. So fascinating stuff. But you look at this costume, you're like, how the hell did that dude jump down that embankment in this mess of a costume?
Well, there's another picture that goes along with it. It's another that shows you how flexible the suit really is. I mean, the dude is basically in a brown jumpsuit with hair strung about the tops of it. It's not really as detailed as it looks on film. They've made a very convincing on-film costume without restricting the guy that's inside of it.
Especially with the amount of information that we can gather from that sort of shaky footage, and where the cameraman did a good job of keeping the camera in the right direction, but also as an actor, as all fan footage, folks know that you have to be an actor as the cameraman at the same time. acting like he was running away from a threat, but somehow didn't turn to run and, drop the camera to film behind him or whatever, kept the camera on the subject. I'm sorry, if a Sasquatch is charging you, just drop the camera drop the camera and do what you need to do. Don't continue to film it, because then you will become maybe Sasquatch will film you with one arm after he's ripped it off and beat you to death with the other one after he's ripped that off. And we will know that Sasquatch can actually beat you to death with your arms after he's ripped them off.
That's right. That's the plan, to find out once and for all. And then here was finally the nail in the coffin. These are the guys who made the video. 2 of them are in the video, so I would assume that the other one is probably the camera guy. And here we have them all standing next to Mr. Sam Squanch with his neon lights on his arm. I'm digging the costume. But like I said, the closer we look at this like this, the more you can see that it's basically brown cloth with the hair on the outside of that brown cloth. And like you said, through creative camera trickery, using a not HD quality camera, you can get away with stuff like this. They did it from the 80s until the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and so the other photos that look at the sun placement and the shadows with color. This looks a whole lot like, and the shine off of the hair and whatnot looks a whole lot like the other aspect that we saw if it were in black and white. You could imagine that this could be moonlight if you did a little trickery with the contrast and some other manipulatives and got that exact same thing, and it could look like these guys are standing there in the moonlight with the Sasquatch.
And for me, the reason I picked this particular week for our epic Bigfoot encounter was because I always have that feel to bring, what is credible and what isn't credible out there. And I've seen people argue about this recently. Now, this last video, the part of it, the giant reveal, it didn't come about for nearly a year after everything had calmed down. And all of a sudden, this video popped up with these pictures. And it's a definite match. There's absolutely no doubt that this is the creature that's in the creature suit that's in that video that we've been talking about here. And
because people will say, like, this picture doesn't look like the subject in that film. Well, no, it doesn't, because you don't get a static look at the creature in the other film. So it's not apples to apples, and you have to, the more you see, the more it makes sense.
That's right. It's kind of like a magician. The closer you look, the less magic there really is. So that's our discussion on Creature of the Giant Sequoias. So, I mean, in the end, I'm convinced that it's 100% fraud. It was just a video made for, it looked like it was a movie made for a movie student to turn in for something. And if you look up the actual movie part of it, there is the Creature in the Giant Sequoias on YouTube. The entire length short film is now up, not just the runaway scene from the Sasquatch. So you get other cut scenes building up to that, but still no explanation as to why there's no sound or why there's a Bigfoot in it at all. But you can check that out at youtube.com. It was done by Sean Bannon. Sean Bannon was the name of the fellow that actually did the Bigfoot and the Giant Sequoias. And, basically you get a little bit of voiceover in the ending of it. And then it's a neat watch.
Yeah, but it's part of the entire process of what we have to deal with for evidence, and why, when the skeptical bastard says, yeah, it's all fake. Well, a lot of it is. And we have to weed through the BS to get to what is there. And yeah, so it's just part of the process of being a reasonable centered Bigfooter. So anyway, there we go. And portals. That's right. Well, now it's time to get lost in a little bit of quasi theories with our old friend, Mr. Dean Cooper.
That would help if I push that button, and then I can push this one. And now, Quasi Theories from a Quasi Scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
This is a true story. Back in college, I moved off campus to a 2-bedroom apartment in an old 3-flat building. My roommate, Kim, was 2 years older than me. It was a platonic relationship. She and my girlfriend were good friends. I add at this point that my roommate was definitely psychic, and I'm fairly sensitive to that whole realm as well. Shortly after moving in, Kim began complaining about visits late at night by an evil presence. I would be asleep when the visitor showed up and didn't notice anything. It started showing up while I was awake, and I definitely could tell it was at her end of the apartment. Creepy, evil feeling. Chills up and down the spine. You know, the usual spooky sensations. A few weeks after this started, Kim told me what she knew about this presence. It was, of course, a black magician she and I had studied under way back in old Atlantis, coming to torment us now in his astral body. He was getting even with us for turning from the dark path to white good magic and fighting him and his evil ways. I maintained a neutral attitude to this news, but I knew something nasty was afoot. A month into these shenanigans, Kim came knocking at my bedroom door around 2 a.m, wrapped in her blanket, begging to sleep on the floor next to my bed. She said the guy was somewhat afraid of me because, back on Atlantis, I had become a stronger white magician than he was a black magician. I said she could sleep on the floor and use my spare blanket too. Half an hour later, the booger showed up at the other end of my bedroom. I could see a black glowing cloud, maybe 3 feet across, hovering about 5 feet off the floor. Yes, glowing black, with dull, dark red tinges, radiating a nasty, evil feeling. Kim was sitting on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees with a horrified look on her face. I sat up in bed, crossed my legs in the yoga posture called Siddhasana, and began mentally repeating a Sanskrit mantra I knew, directing my attention at the cloud. I could feel it getting more pissed off, but knew it was not capable of actually hurting anyone other than scaring the bejesus out of you. It faded away quickly. It made one more minor appearance when my girlfriend came for a weekend visit. She saw it and felt it, but it was much less strong and was gone in a few seconds. I used the same treatment on it as before. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
And there you have it. Quasi theories of floating clouds from a quasi scientist, your pal, Dean Cooper. That's right. Let's get a little bit of enlightenment from your old pal, Wes. And now, seeking enlightenment with your old pal, Wes. Brought to you by weslosner.com.
On one's path to enlightenment, one must learn that if you only trust people as far as you can throw them, that would imply that all fat people are untrustworthy. That's some heavy shit right there.
All fat people are not untrustworthy. Let's hear from our friend Shannon.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
This is Shannon LeGros from Into the Fray Radio, and you're watching the Squatchers Lounge podcast. A big thanks to Jeffrey Kelly for allowing me to interrupt your lounge time, but I wanted to let you know that I've deviated from my previous Sasquatch-only format to bring you a new multi-topic show called Into the Fray. You can subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher and visit my website, intothefrayradio.com, for blog posts, contact information, and the latest episodes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you down the rabbit hole.
It's actually a good show every week, it seems. Thursday nights. Check it out at Into the Fray Radio. God.
Joan, get me a Snapple.
That's right, Joan. Get me a Snapple. So, as far as the creature in the giant sequoias goes, I liked it. I wanted it to be real. We dug into it deep enough to say, there's a lot of red flags here. And sure enough, it comes to fruition in the end that it was not necessarily a hoax, but a film project. And a lot of things, you got to be careful. The kid wasn't trying to fool the Bigfoot world. He was just trying to have a little bit of fun with some of his advanced footage. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, and doing a little bit of promo footage with the costume that they obviously use on stage for a live band project or something as such, and then also doing a film project, it's excusable. What's unfortunate is how many people are still
buying into it,
buying into that as credible evidence when it's been shown to be just that. It was a project, it was a promo, it was a fun thing that somebody did, and we all picked up on it like it was nobody's business.
That's right. So that's going to wrap it up for us this week on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I love it when you guys watch live. There was a crap load of you guys watching live tonight. I guess it was a good discussion, and you told your friends, and we appreciate that. So for the Dr. David Backdorf, pseudo-scientist, I'm the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and we say thanks for watching, and may the Squatch be with you. Dum-dum. Check out the Monday night show, Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. And check out Bigfoot Campfire Stories. Holy crap. There's a real scary one coming up right before Halloween. Let's give you some feedback. If you like the longer stories, sometimes I get a little long-winded, but it's the story. It's all I can do. I can tell it as it is, or I can not. Bigfoot, the movie, 2017. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be good.
Check it out.
A kid and a penis.